show all the love to Mr. Clint Howard, Bryce Howard, and Mr. Ron Howard!
That wakes us up this morning.
That's right. Hello, welcome, good morning. How's everybody doing today?
Everybody's good.
Great. Yeah.
Have you feeding off the energy?
You gotta feed off of this energy. It's a beautiful crowd. Make some noise for yourselves. We are so glad that you're with us to close out this last day of MegaCon. How has the weekend been treating each of you so far?
Well, the title, MegaCon,
Right?
certainly is appropriate.
Come on now, come on now.
Kat, my wife and I, we stepped into this place and we were just bowled over by the size, and then on top of that, just the real genuine enthusiasm and appreciation for what we do, and it really makes it worth it to come out here and visit.
Love it. Make some noise for that
Yeah, I would say the same exact thing as what you said, Uncle Clint. You can feel the love, the joy, the enthusiasm for storytelling, for character, and the community that exists because of that. And it means so much to me. It means so much to us. It means so much to everyone who comes here, and is sitting behind the table that you all show up. And it's also, for me personally, it was incredible because I'm here with my family. I've also gotten to hang out with the Skeleton Crew kids and all the Twilight folks. So, it's wonderful. It's been a blast.
And I took a few minutes and walked through yesterday the floor, and because I could just feel there was so much fun going on over there that I wanted to see what it was about, and it was a blast. And I made a video and I sent it to my wife Cheryl and my partner at Imagine, Brian Grazer, and I said, "This feels like Mardi Gras without the debauchery." Really, the energy is so great, and this is my first time, at a convention like this. But I'm told it's one of the best,
Absolutely.
and I can see that. So,
Victor, let me just say, I got to give a shout out to the people that run MegaCon.
Yes!
These folks, they know what they're doing, and they don't do it by yelling or screaming. They're efficient. The Black Ops crew.
Come on now, come on.
I don't know whether you see them, but there's a bunch of people that look like they were extras in Men in Black. They're running around with the earpieces, Jesus, like we were, something important. But I just, it feels so good when we don't have to worry about, when's the car coming,
Right.
or anyway. So I just shout out to the MegaCon crew.
Thank you for that. Now, considering your impact in film, television, all these wonderful places and spaces, I think the best place to really kind of start this conversation is the beginning. So I gotta know, what is the origin story of the Howard family when it comes to acting?
well, the origin story begins in Oklahoma. It's my mom, whose name was Jean Frances Spiegel. She was born in Duncan, Oklahoma.
That's right.
My father, whose name back in those days was Harold Beckenholt, who was born on a farm in Cedarvale,
Right.
and Kansas, separately in the 30s and into the 40s, they had this dream of being actors. And Mom wanted to be like Lana Turner, and my dad wanted to be like Gene Autry or Roy Rogers, a singing cowboy. Nobody told him that he couldn't carry a tune, thank God, because he kept up with the dream. They met each other at the University of Oklahoma, and they went on this adventure together, very romantic. It must have scared the daylights out of their families because they had no business believing they could make it in the entertainment world. And yet they did. And then the other thing, when I was born, my dad was directing theater, and they realized that I had an aptitude for this. Mm-hmm. And I started picking up on the dialogue, and they had no enthusiasm for being stage parents per se, but they just felt like, my dad felt like, well, I might not be able to share a lot, but I can share what I know about acting with Ron and then eventually with Clint. And that led to things like, you know, the Andy Griffith Show and Jet TV. And the big blessing was we just stayed as a tight family. I'll put in a plug for our book, The Boys,
Yes.
a memoir of Hollywood family. We talk a lot about our childhood, and we talk a lot about our parents who did change the course of our family history. Now then, I'll just carry this one. So Clint and I had our careers, loved it. I turned into, you know, went to directing, Imagine Entertainment, loved all of that. Bryce started to show a real aptitude for it early on, and she would ask about it, and my wife Cheryl and I would say, no, we can't let you be a child actor. We don't have the bandwidth to do what my parents did, which was really supervise us.
Right,
you know?
right.
And plus I felt like that, you know, even though different gender, the sort of the Opie mythology was a little bit tough, you know, too much to ask a kid.
Of course.
To sort of face as a child performer. But I said, do everything you want to do as a student. And Bryce was unbelievable. She did every show, every summer program, everything. And by the time, you know, she was, I don't know, 14 or 15, I could see that she could be a professional, you know, anytime she wanted to be. And yet we still didn't allow it, and she kept learning, and she's never stopped learning, and now she's carried that into directing. And the thing I love, and this is the last I'll say about this, is Bryce is into this for the right reason. She loves the process, and she loves the audience. And it's not about anything. That's the end of my proud dad.
Yes, absolutely. But
Let me jump in here just a second about Bryce.
yes.
I watched her have this dream of wanting to be, you know, in the storytelling business, in the entertainment business. First, she was a performer. She was wonderful, man. She would hit the stage and friggin' just rock. But I had the opportunity to be directed by her in the very first thing she directed. It was a Lifetime Channel TV movie, and it was her segment of the movie. It was like 4 or 5 segments. It was Call Me Crazy. And it was a story, it was sort of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right, a little bit, and I played one of the cuckoos. And actually, she also drafted her mom to play a cuckoo. You know, so anyway, I'm there working, doing my thing, and I'm watching Bryce direct. And my God, I grew up watching my brother direct. And her mannerisms, her physical mannerisms on the set, as far as being behind the video village, you know, looking at the monitor and then coming out and whispering to an actor and giving an actor little notes and then rallying the crew and doing all those things, it was like a friggin' carbon copy of her dad. But she did do one thing, and I called Ron that night and I said, you gotta be proud, because she's kicking ass. And I told her, I said that she's directing just like you, except she does one thing. See, she goes up and at the last minute, a good director will come up and give an actor a little note. Hey, you should, can we have that a little bit pacier? Can we just pick up the pace a little bit? And Bryce does the same thing. You know, can you give me a little more energy? But Bryce's thing is she plays with the actor's hair.
Yesterday, before the photos, she's like fixing my sweatshirt and chucking my, look, I don't have much hair. And yet somehow it's still not good enough for the photo session.
And I asked Ron about that. First of all, I told Ron, I go, you know, if you start doing that, it's gonna get weird. And Ron said, you know why she does that? She's the oldest sister. She's got 2 young sisters that are twins, a couple of years younger than she is, and she's got a little brother who's 4 or 5 years younger than she is, and that's her natural instinct as the first child to play with hair. And just, listen, if I get an opportunity again to be directed by you, and I'm sure I will, you can play with my hair all you want.
Yeah, get ready.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that. I've got to say, based on your parents' dreams, you guys are like the fruition of that intent. And it's such a beautiful thing to see how people can stake out and say, I have a goal, and their children carry that torch. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So thank you for that. Certainly appreciate it. You've been able to see how entertainment, specifically television, has changed so much. When you first started, it wasn't the buffet of channels that we have today. So did that make things harder to find, like television roles, or was it actually easier because people didn't really go for them?
Well, it's a really good question. I mean, look, as both a consumer and producer at Imagine Entertainment and as a director, I love what's happened. I love that there's a kind of a narrow casting. Stories can be more specific, and there are reasons to make stories. Audiences don't have to be so huge for a show to be successful and find a loyal audience and run.
Right.
So that's all great. By the same token, it doesn't feel any easier. I don't know what the people whose autographs you're getting, they work real hard and they really have to keep hustling.
Of course.
And to try to keep proving themselves over and over again. The competition somehow is higher than ever. And yet I do feel like there's a kind of the globalization of entertainment is a really healthy thing. And I think all cultures are learning from one another, and I think performances are getting better. I think direction is getting better, and and I think us, the audiences, benefit from it.
Absolutely, make some noise for that. Now, not to kind of dig in on the Bryce, this is your life kind of moment that we just had, but I'm going to kind of ask though, when did you become aware of the family's legacy in acting and all these things? Like, when did you first go, wait, we're kind of famous, aren't we? When did you realize that?
It's so interesting because it was sort of like a slow dawning realization, but I really wasn't exposed to scenarios where I would feel that.
Gotcha.
So for example, like, I think because they were both raised on their parents' sets that then became their sets,
right.
It felt very natural to bring children to set. So I got to constantly go to set with my dad, starting from a very young age, and I absolutely loved it. And so my perception of his job and of the, quote-unquote industry was the crew. And the actors were certainly a part of it, but I was kind of kept away from the actors because I'm like, I'm an annoying kid, so it was really the crew, and so and I went to a couple of premieres. I remember, this is a very, very vivid memory, and this doesn't have to do with kind of like celebrity in our family, but I was like, oh, fame. I was at, we were in Tokyo, and we were showing Far and Away to the royal family, and I was 11. And Tom Cruise is, I'm sure you all know this, is extraordinary when it comes to press and fan engagement and all of that, just, absolutely tireless. And he was walking in front of me, kind of like 10 feet in front of me on this red carpet, and all the fans were excited, and he was waving, and he got a little too close, and his arm got sucked in, and then his entire body got sucked into the crowd. And at that point, I just knew Tom as the guy who works with my dad, and like Nicole, they were awesome. He would do backflips on set to entertain us, like truly, literally, so it was just like, it was like my dad's like young friend,
right.
Kind of. And seeing him get sucked in there and then everyone kind of diving in after him, I was like, is he dead? Like, it was really crazy. And then they pulled him out and he sort of shook it off and then he kept going. And I was like, is this because people love him? Like it was a really kind of weird moment, but not a bad moment,
Gotcha.
you know, because Tom was right back at it, and you could tell that everyone was, you know, it was a very happy energy all around. But I think I sort of saw that and then was like, steer clear. so I was never asking to go to the parties or, you know, any of those things. But on
She
set,
loved going to the set.
yeah, I was insatiable.
In fact, that was her mom, Cheryl, learned at one point. She was a kind of a stubborn kid, and but the one, and you know, you could threaten to take things away from her, but she was going to do what she wanted to do and didn't seem to care.
I didn't care. They could take anything away from me. I didn't care.
Except she would say, "You can't go to the set tomorrow if you do that," and that would be the line that Bryce would fall in for.
Yeah, that happened in 5th grade once, and it was like a big moment where my mom was like, you can't go to set tomorrow. And I was just like, and I remember crying and being like, you're ruining my life. Like, you're doing this to me. Real, sincerely, it was big.
And on Apollo 13, Colin Hanks and Bryce Dallas Howard were our best set PAs.
I can't say that we were the best, but we were very earnestly trying.
That lunch was there, man. The order was done, put in right, correctly.
I love it. I love it.
I'll tell you, the fame thing is, the fame thing is something, I learned by osmosis about that, but talking about being on the set, talking about the process, I'll tell you what, the smells from my earliest age, the smells and the sights and the sound, and there was the feeling of being on a set around folks making entertainment, the camera operator and his assistant. I'll never forget, I always gravitated towards the camera assistant, because back in those days it was film, and he had to pull photos. He had to be there right by the lens and make sure that the camera stayed in focus. And that guy was always looking at me. And it was such a warm feeling. And that hasn't changed. Now the technology has changed.
Right.
The equipment has changed. But that idea of a group of people gathering together and to create entertainment and to have, you know, it's all an illusion, right? I mean, so we're helping create this illusion that entertains folks. And I just, in thinking about it, I love the process too. And I, you know, I hope to continue doing it. This is my 63rd year.
Make some noise for that. Living legend, true icon. Absolutely.
And I certainly want to try to make 70 and maybe 80 for Christ's sake.
Yes! Absolutely. Now, Clint, you've done some amazingly menacing style characters. Like, I literally have been afraid of Slinkies forever. Wait, see, now he's looking at me. Why is But what is that trick to create like that kind of menacing, almost creep vibe that's just so penetrating as a character?
Well, it starts on the page.
Okay.
It does start on the page.
Absolutely.
All we're given is a character to play. And then, I don't know, there's just part of me that is that guy.
That's hardcore.
And by God, whether it's Sylvester Stallone,
Right?
or one of the kids in the ice cream man, I can look at him. I mean freaking business.
Make some noise, y'all. How many of you guys have seen Terrifier 3? Who's seen Terrifier 3?
Yeah.
When you showed up in that one, I was like, Art about to get it. Art's about to get it. You don't talk to Clint Howard that way. So up here we have this brilliant collection of actors, writers, producers, directors. You're all active storytellers. How important do you believe that stories are to our development as a society?
Well, it goes back to the beginning, you know, and it is the way we learn, it's the way we teach, it's the way we come to understand who we are, and whatever the genre is, it could be a Saturday morning cartoon, it could be a little bit on TikTok, or it could be an epic miniseries, you know. The themes and the ideas have to come through, or it's actually not entertaining.
It's true.
It's not engrossing to us. So we don't necessarily know that we're going to the stories for that first and foremost, but we remember the ones that deliver those ideas. You know, and technology is always factored into it. You know, from the beginning, you know, it was like learning or telling stories around the campfire, and then at some point somebody realized, oh, look at these shadows. Oh, look, I can make interesting shadows. Oh, I can make a shadow play.
Right.
I can tell a story with shadows. And, you know, go on to lights on stage and curtains and revolving stages and photography and you know, onto digital technology and what we have today. But it does, as Clint was saying, it always gets back to that idea of, you know, telling a story, building it together that's going to mean something to people. Not everybody, but the individuals for whom it's intended for, you know, who it's intended for, you know, hopefully it's landing and hopefully it resonates. I'll tell one quick story. We were having a family teenage years kind of moment of friction in the Howard household one time, and we were having a family meeting and it was kind of tense, but the TV was on just low enough that you could kind of hear it, and it was a rerun of like an 80s or 90s, you know, family sitcom. I don't even remember which one it was.
Probably 7.
It was probably like Full House or something. Yeah. But it was a comedy, sitcom. Okay. And we're watching, and all of a sudden, at some point, we realized that the thing we were having a, you know, serious conversation about was being dealt with on this show. And we stopped, we turned the sound on, and we watched this sitcom, this silly, formulaic sitcom. And it was great, and we laughed. And when it was over, we talked a little bit about it, and it helped us solve a problem, and it was also healing. And I just thought, thank God those sitcom writers, actors, and directors and producers cared enough to get those ideas out there in a funny, entertaining way. It was a salve to us at that particular moment. Not a show that I ever watched with any regularity, but that day, those people's work resonated in our family, and I appreciated it.
That's awesome. So Sarah Williams from Orlando asked, as a family of talented filmmakers, what's a piece of advice you each share with one another when working on a new project?
Go, youngin.
There's a phrase in our family from our grandfather that we always say to each other, which is, you know where to kick it. Do you guys want to finish it?
Kick it in the ass.
Yes!
It takes courage to you know, just go for something. You know, it's for anyone. It takes courage to exit your house, you know, sometimes. And so to have a family just in that moment, you know, if you're just about to do something, you've prepared, you know, you've done the research, you've had the conversations, you've challenged your biases, you know, you're ready. You kind of need that shove. And that's, I think, what we all do for one another. You know where to kick it in the ass. And we always say that to each other.
It's a brilliant family motto. I need a crest of that. That is awesome. I love it.
Listen, I personally, I channel Dad.
Yeah.
I channel Dad so much in life and when I'm working, you know, and it goes back to those basic fundamental things that he was teaching both Ron and I when we were real little kids, and that is to be prepared, to take it seriously. You know, we were children in an adult world, and he didn't ever make it heavy-handed for us, but it was, and I never felt overwhelmed, but it was a matter of, you know, Clint, we need to prepare. We need to prepare. And then kick it in the ass, you know, Jesus, my dad was with me on the set 98% of the time of my juvenile career, and the other 2%, Mom was on the set. So we had this great parental guidance and we had this great nurturing going on, but it was just Dad that I remember. Kick it in the ass, but be prepared.
That's right. That's
Discipline.
hear that call to action of allowing you to step into a space, but still also like supporting the motivations behind it. You know, you're going to be in this space, it's going to be important, but also do what you do because you know how to do it. That's amazing. I love that. We have a question from Liam Green from Tampa. If you could remake any of your family's films with a modern twist, which one would you pick and why?
Oh man, I don't look back that much, but you know, do you guys have any answers for that one? Do you think?
I would like, I mean, I don't think it needs to be remade because it's one of my favorite movies ever, but Cocoon.
Yes.
You know, and if need be, I'll just copy it shot for shot.
Well, I'll ditto Cocoon.
Yeah.
Because the themes of that movie were you know, really deep and very valuable. And Ron was still a very young filmmaker when he was handed the task of directing Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy and Wilfred Brimley and who was
Maureen Stapleton.
Maureen Stapleton and
Don Amici.
Don Amici. I mean, my goodness, and he handled it so well. I was fortunate enough to be on that set for about half the time, and I was so proud of him. I've been so proud of my brother as he's been a director, but yet, you know, the Cocoon too.
I didn't do that.
He didn't do it, so good. Good points for his team. But you know, yeah, that theme of do you want to live forever, or do you want to live with your loved one?
Yeah.
Anyway, and listen, and Ron took that story and made it his movie, but he didn't invent that. That's a wonder. I keep going back to this. Filmmaking and entertainment is a team effort.
Yes, yes.
Even stand-up comics buy jokes from people.
It's true. It's true.
You know, and a stand-up comic's kind of only as good as his lighting and his set. And now there are certain freaks. Well, Robin Williams could probably, you know. But I'm just saying it's a team effort, and the writing, the producing, the people that know how to kind of glue it together, and getting somebody to be the leader, the director. And then they have to cast, and the gods have to come down and kiss the movie. So anyway, there's a lot of moving parts in making entertainment.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Make some noise for that one more time. This next one comes from Rachel Lee from St. Petersburg. This one's for Bryce. You've been in some amazing franchises. If you could join another iconic movie or TV universe, which would it be?
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know if it's as, see, here's the thing, I'm a fan first. So I love to be in things that I love, but I don't want to ruin anything that I love. So, you know, I think I am a Trekkie, you know.
Come on now.
So many things. I love The Grinch. I love there's so many just conceits in storytelling that are thrilling. So, you know, I'm very zen when it comes to, like, I'm not too ambitious about it because I'm like, oh, if it happens, it's what's meant to be. But I never want to force anything like that because I wouldn't want to ruin it.
Maybe you want to jump in the Ice Cream Man franchise.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Now, Matthew James asked a question for you, Clint. Says that you've done some fun roles over the years. What's one that still makes you laugh when you think about it?
Oh boy.
Waterboy?
Yeah. I am not what you would call a handsome man. The good Lord chose not to bless me with charm, athletic ability, or a fully functional brain.
Ruin Happy Jr.
It was Adam Sandler is special. It was on the page. His leadership, you know, is second to only one. But The Waterboy was fun. It was a great, fun environment. Real quick, another really, really fun environment was my day of working on Seinfeld. Those guys, Jason Alexander and Jerry, were awesome. The director was awesome, and the crew was awesome. And I had a little slight advantage, and this is just pure coincidence, kismet. The day that I did The Smog Strangler, the one day I worked on Seinfeld, it was the day after they found out, it was announced that Seinfeld had gotten picked up for another season.
Wow.
So first of all, we were shooting outdoors. Normally it's an indoor show. It was about 75 degrees in February in Los Angeles. It was a beautiful day. The boom guy had his shirt off. And everybody was talking about what kind of car they were going to buy. So I caught the group on a good day, and creatively they were awesome.
That's awesome. Ashley Adams from Jacksonville wants to know, Ron, you've directed so many films. What's a hidden gem of yours that you wish more people talked about?
What's
a hidden gem?
I'm very, very proud of 13 Lives, which I don't know if it's a hidden gem, but it's on Amazon Prime. It's the only place that you can see it. It landed a little over 2 years ago, or just under 2 years ago. And I'm very proud of that movie, so I'm always pushing people to,
It's a brilliant,
check
wonderful,
out.
glorious, heart-centered film.
But I'm also, I've got a few that that sort of underperformed at that time, but have landed in a really great place.
Of course.
Like The Paper.
Yes.
People really like that movie. Or Far and Away is one that underperformed a little at the time, but now it's well regarded. So those are faves.
I love that. I love it. Sometimes you're ahead of your time, Yeah. We got to catch up to you. That's our fault. That's what it is. Last question. Jonathan Scott from Miami wants to know, if you could all star in a movie together, what kind of genre would it be, and who would play what role?
I mean, it would probably be a comedy.
Kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm not sure we can keep a straight face.
Yeah. I mean, we sort of did that movie with Parenthood, right? Like
A little bit,
Parenthood.
yeah. That's true. So we get like a remake of that energy, but just in a totally separate thing. Can we play around, like, okay, so comedy, yes. Can we put a backdrop to it? Is it comedy in space? Comedy in a box? What are we thinking?
Floating around,
Yes.
jokes. Whoa, that's a good one.
Guys, thank y'all so very much for joining us. It has been an absolute honor to chat with you. MegaCon, join me one more time. Stand on your feet if you can. Make some noise for the Howard family. Thank y'all so much. We're going to ask you to clear out on the side this way as we open up the doors to let the next panel come through. Thank you.